Hey guys, Handicapable Gamer here, back on the channel again finally, and if you guys are new here, I want to say thanks for checking out the video. If not, I want to apologize for being absent for so long, but today I wanted to bring you my brief impressions, first impressions of Raw Data on the PlayStation VR. This was another game that was ported over from PC, and it got a lot of high marks on PC, so I was looking forward to checking it out. So without further ado, here are some of my thoughts. In terms of base gameplay, it is a wave shooter, but there's a structured narrative behind it. So I appreciate that. It gives me a little more reason to play, besides just randomly shooting and killing things. I appreciate the sound design. I like the gun sounds, and the 3D audio is nice. The visuals during my playtime were high quality, and there was no frame rate drops or graphical glitches, so I was impressed with that. I think my favorite thing about the game is the characters themselves. I like the idea of having a wave shooter with options, instead of just having to run through the game with, one particular gun or maybe a couple guns. This time we get a melee character, a bow and arrow character, a shotgun character, and a character with pistols. And the melee character uses a sword, which very much reminds me of a Jedi lightsaber in the way that you activate it and whatnot. And every character can technically melee with their fists, but I didn't have quite as much luck with that as I did just shooting things. My favorite gun so far is the shotgun. I like the way that you have to slide the pump to reload your shotgun, and also the way you can use the secondary fire as kind of a grenade launcher. That was a lot of fun for me. As far as movement in the game, it uses a teleport mechanic. In the options, it shows an option for free walking, but I'm thinking that's for if you're playing standing. And it was grayed out on mine, so I'm not even quite sure yet how you unlock it. But, so I was using the teleport option, and I was worried about it because I was thinking, since it's a shooter and you have to be moving around, it might be a bit of a hindrance to have to teleport while shooting. But since the teleportation is linked to the move button on your non-dominant hand, it really wasn't that big of an ordeal, and it ended up feeling pretty fluid to me by the time I was done. And you also obviously turn with the face buttons, click turning style like you might expect, but it's also smoother than what I've seen in some other games like Don't Knock Twice and things like that. So I give the game props for graphics, audio, just overall quality, and being a wave shooter that offers a little more than the traditional wave shooter. But in terms of complaints, my biggest issue was sometimes when the firefight situations would get a little hectic, I would accidentally switch guns to my non-dominant hand and then have trouble switching it back to the dominant hand. And really, it's not that I was intending to switch hands in the first place. I think when you bring your hands too close together, the guns just automatically swap over. Because when I would have to try and get it to swap back to where I wanted it to be, a lot of times I would sit there and have to experiment with it to try and get it to recognize what I was trying to do. So that was a little bit of a hiccup, but it may have been due to my personal playstyle and the way I was holding my hands at the time. I've heard some people have some glitches where they could look through walls on certain levels. I hadn't experienced that yet,
What is Eden Corp doing down here?
Probably the only
Does anyone listen to me?
game not breaking, but at least a hindrance for me was with the bow and arrow character. I could not for the life of me while playing sitting down get the bow off my right hip. It just would not register. With the pistol, I was able to get the ammo clip off my hip to reload, because you have to reload by hand, which I thought was a nice touch. It's kind of like London Heist style. But with the bow and arrow, no matter how many times I tried, it would not pick up the bow off my hip. So I essentially can't use that character since I can't play standing up. So that may be something to keep in mind. As far as the other characters though, you can play seated perfectly fine. And you don't even really need like a swivel chair or anything like that because the game has quick turning. And the only issue you might have is occasionally you're going to want to duck, and you won't be able to do that seated effectively. So there are, people that play standing are going to have more fun inherently, but the game is totally playable while seated, and I do enjoy it, and I'm going to keep going back to it. I appreciate that the ducking is an option for the people that can do it, and that it's not necessarily mandatory to survive the levels. That may change in the late game content, but where I'm at, it's still serviceable. Whereas when I was playing something like Dick Wild, I can't play that game at all, because it just requires too much side to side and up and down movement. So I was happy that this game kind of found a happy medium in between, intense movement and seated play. Last week at launch, it was listed at a price of $29.99 with the discount, the launch discount. But I know that I think this upcoming week it's going to raise back up to full $40 price tag. And since it is just a wave shooter, as well made as it is, I think it should be $30 regular price. Do I recommend this game? Yes, completely. It's a lot of fun. Do I recommend it for seated play? Yes, as long as you're not looking to use the bow and arrow. I've been experimenting, trying to find workarounds to get it to allow me to grab the bow and use it effectively, but I haven't found a way yet. So if any of you in the comments have found a way to play with it seated, please let me know, because I'd like to try it. But as long as you're willing to just enjoy the other characters, this game is still worth your money, even if you have to play seated. I would like to see the co-op mode brought over from PC, and I know they said that's probably coming in the future. I just hope it actually does, because then this game may actually be worth the $40 price tag. At $30, I think it's a total buy, especially if you like the style and look of the game. But it's definitely a step up from some of the titles we've been getting recently in the wave shooter genre. I don't really have any other complaints about the game. I guess one other thing I would love to see is some maps with a little more life to them. But given the type of game that it is, and that you're basically shooting AIs, I understand that doesn't really fit the tone or the theme of the game. So that's just a personal preference thing, and not really anything to actually knock the game for.
Watch out for flying drones.
It's a fun title, it's a quality title. If it's the style of game you like, I say give it a shot. If you think you might like it, but $40 is too much, I say wait for a sale. But eventually this is something that all PSVR owners probably want to add to their collection. Well, there you have it, guys. My initial impressions of Raw Data. I'll probably eventually come back and do a full review video for this game, And I also have videos coming for Radial G, The Invisible Hours, Megaton Rainfall, all of the above. I will try to drop them as soon as I can to make up for lost time. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. And for right now, this has been the Handicapable Gamer, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks.